Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Sima, and I would like to welcome you on today's webinar. And the topic of today's webinar will be Goodstack. For those of you who are not familiar with the name Goodstack, you might be more familiar with the former name, which is Percent. And I'm not here alone today. I'm here with Veronica, who's my co-host, and she's an expert from within Goodstack. And today we would like to talk about not just how to get the Goodstack account, but also which products are included within this package, how you can activate them, who's eligible for Goodstack. And we've also collected frequently asked questions about this solution. So we would like to cover it all today. We have about 60 minutes. So without further ado, we can get started. All right, so once again, the content of today's webinar will be as follows. So we'll start off by looking at Goodstack. We'll give you an overview, and today's webinar will be a little bit different from the webinars we've done for you guys in the past. And it will be different because this will be a structured interview. So I will ask questions to Veronica, who's an expert on this topic, and she will answer those questions. We might have a discussion. We also welcome you to participate, ask questions, etc. So we'll start off by giving you an overview of Goodstack. Then we'll look at the application process. We'll then talk about which products are included within Goodstack that you as a nonprofit can benefit from. And then we'll give you a example or maybe a few examples of how other nonprofits use these products. And then towards the end, we'll look at those frequently asked questions. All right, and I'd like to introduce myself again. I'm Peter Sima. I'm a founder and consultant at AvalX Digital. I'm also a Google certified trainer for nonprofits, which means that part of what I do is also educating nonprofits. My specialty is Google Ad Grants and Google Analytics, but Goodstack is a big part of Google Ad Grants, and so we would also like to look at other aspects of nonprofit marketing, and because we're not experts ourselves on Goodstack, we invited Veronica, who is. Yeah, and I believe I can now just hand it off to her, and she can introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Veronica here. My background is in law and compliance with over 10 plus years of consultancy, mainly across US, but also Europe and internationally. My specialty or focus is on managing verifications and compliance reviews for nonprofits like yourselves to get grants, Google Ad grants or other product discounts or donations that you might be interested in. Main focus is definitely on a nonprofit space, but it is reaching outside of that space as well. And I'm happy today to introduce Goodstack in more detail.
Thank you for your introduction, Veronica, and we can continue with the next part, which is Goodstack Overview. And now I'll transform myself into a nonprofit, and I will start asking you questions. And my first question is very simple, yet many of you might not be familiar with this, so we think it's important to ask this as well. So, Veronica, what is Goodstack to us? Please, more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a verification technology company. It's based in the UK, operating globally. A lot of you are familiar with Google Ad Grants, so you have gone through the Goodstack verification process, maybe without knowing that. But Goodstack is much wider than that. It operates a lot of technical other products, as well as offers access to donations and fundraising for your organizations. So it's basically one-stop shop. As it says, Goodstack is a stack of all of the products that nonprofits or social impact organizations might need.
Thank you. And just to reiterate that, all of you who already use Google Ad Grants, you must have been approved by Goodstack or Percent or TechSoup, and all these organizations did the validation before. So you very likely already have a Goodstack account. Obviously, if you're new to all this, you need to do the application first, but many of you who use Ad Grants, you already have this. and maybe you don't even know about this, so we would like to shed a little bit more light on that today. Okay, my next question is Goodstack just rebranded percent? Many people ask this. They're confused by the name change. They're not sure if it's the same thing, or maybe some things might have been added or dismissed. So can you please tell us more about that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, as any technology company, rebranding sometimes comes into play. Short answer, it's yes, it's the same company, the same registration, same verification partner. But I'm going to say that as any growing scale up, it's adding services continuously. It's expanding into different markets as well. So it's the same company, but it offers from percent to now in a couple of years the product offering has expanded, hence why we are having a conversation today, maybe to just offer you the wide range of products that you might be interested in.
All right, so if somebody's created an account with percent, that means that they already have an account with Goodstack as well. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
all right, sounds good. Thanks for answering this question. And my next question is related to what does it actually mean? What's in it? What are the benefits? Why should nonprofits even look into this?
Yes. So the first of all, a lot of you are Google Ad Grants users already. So you, as Peter said, you might not even realize you went through the verifications. As you know, Google itself doesn't do the verification process itself, but it's outsourcing it to Goodstack as the verification partner because they are expert in the field. In addition to that, we at Goodstack we verify organizations with lots of brands and lots of large corporate organizations globally. This not just includes the products itself or software solutions. So just to name a few, there could be accounting software from Sage. There could be CRM systems. There could be LinkedIn social media sources. Those are we will touch up on that in a little bit. But those are product solutions. In addition, it will offer solution to expose the nonprofits to donation programs, to offer them employee and corporate giving initiatives, which means your organizations will be now open in the pool of organizations to donate financial monetary donations to, not just benefit of a free product. So that's the key differentiator, and those are the main benefits. I know all of the nonprofits are probably on a string budget, right? So any monetary support will probably help, and the suite of tools, it's very dependent on the organization itself, but I can touch upon a few in the next question.
Yes, we'll look into that a little bit further later during this webinar. So thank you for that. And my next question is, it may sound silly, but many people ask this question online. There are many grant schemes. Some of them are legit, some of them are not. And we just noticed that many nonprofits ask this question, whether Goodstack is trustworthy. Many people look at the reviews of the platform and things like that. To me, because I know that Goodstack is a validation partner of choice for Google and other major companies, I know it is trustworthy, but I'll still ask you this question. Maybe you can tell us more about the concerns that some of these people might have in this respect.
Yeah, so it's definitely trustworthy. Is around like 7-year-old company based out of the UK. It's located across the world, probably on all of the continent. We do have a presence, physical presence, employees and staffing. There is around 200 employees in the background, so I can confirm the legitimacy. In addition, it operates with a large global brands. Google is one of them, but I want to highlight a few that we have gone through like a tedious and stringent due diligence process to get to the verification partner process. So just to name a few, there is LinkedIn, TikTok. We are in talks with many other providers, but Atlassian, Asana, a lot of these organizations ring a bell on even to all of the nonprofits that might be listening to this podcast. So I would say absolutely it is trustworthy. What maybe confuses is the rebrand, because some organizations might not be familiar or follow Goodstack so closely. And second of all, it was previously done by TechSoup, the previous competitor, right? So maybe a sudden change of a provider can raise some eyebrows, but I would say it's a disruptor in the space, but absolutely trustworthy.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the answer. I can confirm many. I mean, I've been doing working with Google AdGrants since about 2013, and then TechSoup that has been around for years. Many people are familiar with that. They knew what the process looked like, and it's been like this for years. And then all of a sudden, we just heard from Google, and they said, no, we have a new validation partner. And we're also like, okay, what does this mean? Does the application process change? What about these who got validated by TechSoup? Is it still valid, or do they need to create another account? There's a lot of confusion, but all this happened a few years ago, and ever since, Percent, and then later on Goodstack, which is the same company, and it's been like this for about 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, and we've assisted many nonprofits with the application process, so I can also confirm the trustworthiness of this solution.
I just want to touch upon that. There was another corporate company called Percent, completely operating in a different field, but maybe some of you in the US might be familiar with the other Percent. So we want to differentiate ourselves from that other company and be a standalone brand. So that was the main reason. There wasn't anything suspicious going on regarding the rebrand.
All right. Sounds good. Now, the second section of the presentation will be about the application process. Again, those of you who already use Google AdGrants, you don't need to pay too much attention here, because there's 99% probability that you already have an account. So you don't have to do the application. But for those of you who are new to this, this obviously will be the first logical step. So we would like to also discuss that a bit. And my first question here is, how do you get a Goodstack account? You've already mentioned the benefits, but we don't know how to apply. How does this work? Which steps are involved? What kind of documentation do I need to submit? These are the things that nonprofits would be probably wondering about.
Mm-hmm. So I want to make it absolutely clear, as Peter said, a lot of you have gone through the Google verification process and you don't even know about it, because on a small print, it says the verification partner is Goodstack. But in terms of the flow, nothing changes, right? So if you're only interested in the standalone Google AdGrants, there is no requirement as such to apply for a Goodstack account, okay? If you're just interested in that, I would, however, strongly advise a lot of you to apply for a Goodstack account as a separate. Applying for a Goodstack account as a separate, you would need to just go to a Goodstack website. It's courses.goodstack.io. It's a separate account, and in itself, applying for it, it does not immediately give you the AdGrants access, right? Or applying for Google AdGrants does not immediately, or Google for Nonprofits immediately does not give you Goodstack account. Those are two separate accounts that you need to create. So I just want to make it clear, whoever has that, the Goodstack account, you will need to create your own new account. So go to causes.goodstack.io. What you need to do is absolutely free. You don't need to worry about anything. In terms of the documentation, you just find your organization in the search. Goodstack already supports over 9 million of causes, right? So you most likely will be already in a database, which allows you to fast track the application. Okay, if you haven't found yourself, do not despair. You can be easily added to the database. There might be some documents that request it, but it will be just standalone, usually just governing documents for the organization. But in the US, it's relatively straightforward, so I wouldn't worry too much. When you sign up, it's free of charge, but again, I want to separate it from all of the product offerings.
All right, so if I understand it correctly, I first need to go to causes.goodstack.io. Then I'll start the application process. It's online, it's free. Most likely during the process, I will be able to find myself in the database. If not, then I say I'm not in the database, and then you may ask me to submit the legal documents, letter of formation, or something like that. And then if you then verify our legal status, then basically the account is created. And then the second step is to sign up for various products are being offered within Goodstack. Is that correct? Is that how it
Yes,
works?
that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Within Goodstack, the one thing that you will have then access to the marketplace. We call it a marketplace because then you will be offered with all of the product offerings, including the Google for Nonprofits, but also all the other ones. In addition, you will have an account and your profile page where you can set your logo, you can have your mission statement, you can have the brand.
Hmm.
Brand name if you wish.
Okay.
And the one important thing is you can add your bank details in. All of these, building your profile page is important. We'll get to it, but it's to enlarge your exposure to all of the donations and possibilities that are open in the ecosystem, right?
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can go straight to Google for Nonprofits, and you can do the application from within there, and then Google for Nonprofits share this information with Goodstack. I believe there's an option to do it like that as well. So if I do it like that, or for those of us, or other nonprofits that did it like that, so they basically never went to Goodstack. They just did the application through Google for Nonprofits. Does that mean that they have a Goodstack account, or do they need to still go to Goodstack and do a second round of application?
And this is maybe where the confusion lies, right? You are, again, not mandated. If you go through Google for Nonprofits, you're not mandated to sign up to Goodstack. So by default, no, you do not have a Goodstack account in
All
itself.
right, all
You
right. So
have
it might
Google
be
for
it might be
Nonprofits.
possible. It might be possible. Sorry for interrupting you. It might be possible to have a Google Ad grant, but not have a Goodstack account. That is a real
Correct.
possibility. I see.
That's the
I see.
most common. That's the most common. However, in the communication that you might get from Google when you are applying, there is a message that you get about, hey, you might want to consider applying for Goodstack. It's not mandated, it's not required. Some of you maybe have signed up because you feel like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
what is it? Is it obligatory? So maybe some of you have signed up and thought, okay, this is mandatory to get my application through successfully. No, it's not obligatory. It's just
I see.
supporting your
I
wider
see.
outreach. Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that's a very good piece of information, because I remember back in the day when the application was the application process was, or the validation partner was TechSoup. I remember back then you had to go to TechSoup, you had to create an account, and then they would give you a validation code, and then you would need to take the code, paste it into the Google for Nonprofits application, and so that way everybody had the TechSoup
Thanks.
account. But now that you can do the whole application for Google for Nonprofits within the Google's interface, I believe very few organizations ever go to Goodstack, and it's not because this it wouldn't be worth it. It's mostly because they don't know about it. They don't know the benefits. And it
Again,
might,
I will touch upon that from experience and from like some of the customers that do you read those emails that are being sent to them? Some feel they are obliged to, like back in old day with TechSoup. There, we are trying to explain to them, no, you're not obliged to, but there are benefits to it. So I want to make it absolutely clear. This is absolutely different to TechSoup. You're not obliged, but we strongly recommend because
Mhm.
it's to your benefit.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that. My next question is, who's eligible? We know most of the nonprofits, if we speak about the American nonprofits, most of the 501c organizations are eligible for Google Ad Grants, but there are some exceptions, and those are, for instance, hospitals or schools, etc. So, are there any exceptions like that, when applying to Goodstack, or is it open to, or I mean, which countries is it open to? What kind of legal entities is it open to? Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, absolutely. I want to say just the word eligible is wide encompassing a lot of due diligence checks. And I'm just going to start with maybe naming the main ones. One is the legal form, which you mentioned, Peter. So Goodstack by itself supports the verification process for the product software solutions, right? If you want to know like what legal form I need to be, that's 51c3 for the US. If you're outside of the US, I would strongly advise you to go either to the product or software solution provider, or go to Goodstack and definitions. We on the website, we have a list of all of the countries and the legal definition, what it needs to be if you want to apply for the product donations. However, in addition to just a typical nonprofit or charity product, there are solutions also for social impact organizations, for educational organizations, universities that might not have nonprofit status, but they want to benefit from the product. Goodstack supports those as well. So if the partner, for example, has just an educational program, I would name Atlassian and Canva. They have dedicated solutions just for schools, primary, secondary, and even higher education. You don't have to be a nonprofit. You don't have to be 501c3. You just need to be an accredited school, university, and then you can benefit from the education. This is mainly for teachers, sometimes for students, right? In addition to that, you can have a social impact angle. So again, you're not charity, you're not a school, but you can still benefit for a different program, okay? And then based on the type of organization or type of product you're interested in, that's the legal form you need to comply with. In addition, eligibility is not just the legal form, because there are a set of other criteria you need to comply with. Obviously, there is the typical enhanced due diligence that is just looking into your good standing of the organization. However, there is something called eligibility requirements. You touched upon it, Peter, and this is very partner specific. Google, for example, does support a lot of different causes. However, it does not support the educational organizations and doesn't support the governmental or the medical. Okay, this varies hugely based on the partner. For example, Canva might be completely different in terms of the eligibility criteria. LinkedIn, Atlassian, Asana, they all have specific causes that they want to support. Sometimes I would just highlight a few that could be problematic. You might be one of them. So education sometimes can be problematic for Google. Other partners, again, Atlassian, Canva have specific programs for them, so do not worry. If it's a religion, Google is absolutely open to all of the religions organizations, but Atlassian, Monday.com can have restrictions against them. So I would strongly encourage to follow each of the partners, because this is not Goodstack setting their criteria who is eligible. This is owned by a partner and it's just configured in the system. So before you go to like Goodstack and say like, okay, why am I not eligible? Again, it's based on the preset criteria. And once you are eligible and once you are the correct legal form, then you will be eligible and pass the application process.
Right. So maybe just one question. Let's say I'm in the health vertical, right, which might be limited for Google, but it might not be limited for some other software partners you might have. So what do I do? Do I just apply, and then like in the marketplace, like do I see all the options? Then do I need to read each one, or will you like only show me the ones that I can apply to, or like how do I know which ones I'm eligible for and which ones I'm not?
The marketplace is mainly designed because the main marketplace is built for nonprofit charities and organizations of this. For healthcare organization, the offering is a little bit limited. Okay, and the causes portal might not have the offering just for you. If you are a healthcare organization that is also a nonprofit, then you have a lot of options, right? If you're, however, a healthcare organization without a nonprofit status, then your options are very limited. So it depends on your scenario, but let's assume you are 501c3, but you are a healthcare center. Okay, so the Goodstack, you would need to just sign up to the account, and a lot of other partners will accept you. Okay, maybe not Google, but all the other ones. I would strongly encourage. The team is currently working on maybe making it a bit more user-friendly and adding features and adding eligibilities. But this is work in progress. As any tax company, before applying, I would strongly look into the prerequisites on the partner's website directly, because most likely, well, you will have to be redirected and apply from outside of Goodstack. Okay, there will be a link and you apply to the partner.
So I'll see all the options within the marketplace, but then when I pick one, it will take me to their website, and then I might see, okay, I'm actually not eligible, and I might need to come back and pick another one, correct?
Yes, yes.
I see.
Maybe in the future it will be more user friendly. I would just say, like, for the sake of application process, do review thoroughly your applicant to avoid disappointment.
All right. Okay, that's a good piece of information. Let's move on to the next one, um, which is again a question that many people ask online, and that is, what do I do if Goodstack rejects the application? I mean, is this a definite decision, or can this be discussed with your support team, or what other steps can I take if this happens to
Mm.
me?
Well, there are different reasons for rejection. I'm just going to start from a relatively happy path. So happy path is you just omitted some information, but you can easily supply it. In that case, in either of the cases, I would just contact Goodstack support. Again, go to the website. Most likely on the application from the partner, you will receive a communication about the outcome. So follow through, contact the support, and just seek the reason why you are rejected. Okay, if you can easily mitigate it by supplying the governing documents, whether it's articles, whether it's IRS documentation, then please do. And it could be easily mitigated, and you could be fast tracked on the reapplication. That's relatively a happy path. There could be, however, a challenge that you do not meet the one of the prerequisites. For one, you are not the legal type that is required for that given product offering or for that given donation offering. So, with that, I don't think you can do anything about it, unfortunately, unless you restructure your
Mm.
nonprofit. If you're,
I
however,
see.
501(c)(3 in the US, it's relatively simple. I would highlight an edge case. This is religious organizations, right? I know lots of you are exempt and you do not have to have the 501(c)(3 designation itself. So, hence why sometimes might fall under rejection. I would say do not despair, because there is a special flow for religious organizations. So we are absolutely happy to support you. Even if you're fiscally sponsored, there is a pathway to support your application. Okay. So we just say, just contact the support and dedicated team will contact you. If you're experiencing many problems, contact Peter or above X Digital, and we can maybe look into it. But the unhappy path is also if you are, let's say, a school and you apply for Google. If Google clearly does not accept schools for this Google for Nonprofit program, we can't do anything. Goodstack can't do anything about it, right? So it's
Mhm.
sole discretion of the partner what they accept, what they don't accept. Some of you might feel discriminated, but again, it's not something we can control.
I see.
Okay.
And actually, by mentioning our support in this process, there's this one example that we've been working on together. We have a client in the US, and they're part of a nationwide network. And then all of these different branches, they share one EIN number. And typically, there's one EIN number, there's one Google for nonprofits account, and then there's one AdGrants account. But in this particular case, it's a chain of different branches, but they all share one EIN number. This is a non-standard situation. They are eligible, but they've been facing difficulties getting even through a Google Goodstack validation. Then later on, they've had difficulties creating their Google for Nonprofits account simply because of their non-standard legal setup. And when we worked with Veronica, she worked actually directly with this client, and they had to resubmit some of the documentation, and then she reviewed that with her team, and that worked out. And after literally months of struggling, they've been accepted. And ever since, it was fairly smooth, because then all of the follow-up steps like the grants application and all of that went smoothly because they were compliant. It's just that their legal setup was non-standard. So for those of you who might face similar difficulties for various reasons, if you don't know how to proceed, which other steps to take, if you've exhausted all the other options, feel free to reach out to me, and we can then discuss it internally, also with Veronica, and see if this is something that we can help you with, and if so, we'll be happy to do that. um, all right, so I think we covered this one, and then the next section is related to Goodstack products, and I think most of our Most of our clients, most of the people watching this webinar will be interested in the most in this part because there are many different products that are available. Obviously, Google is one of them, but there are many other organizations that work with Goodstack, and for some reason they're not so clearly mentioned on Goodstack's website. So even if you go to Goodstack's website, you might not see all of them. You might not even know like what's the width of this program, and it's something that we're trying to change. So I would like to now spend some time talking about the different products and maybe giving some examples of the top ones that you've seen working well for other nonprofits. I think this could be, really valuable information for many of our listeners and viewers. So my first question is related to that, and it is, what are the most useful products that Goodstack offers to nonprofits? You can maybe name a few, the top ones based on your experience.
Happy to. What I want to just start with is what is useful to one nonprofit is not useful to the other nonprofit. Okay, so we are probably talking to large organizations like Oxfam, like Red Cross, and like such. Like they will have probably different requirements, whether it's software or donation solutions, than like a grassroots organization or even a school or healthcare center or homeless shelter. Okay, so what is the most useful? I will touch upon a couple of different scenarios, right? And then the best advice would be just sign up to Goodstack and explore, and you will probably know best what you are lacking or what you might be interested in your workflow or from the like donation side. So that would be probably the best advice. In terms of grouping it into the most useful, I would say there is the product solutions. Just like Google Ad Grants, there are similar solutions. For some, Google for Nonprofits seems to be the most obvious, the most valuable, because you get the 10,000 US dollars worth of ad grant that you can utilize, right? For a lot of organizations, however, it could be the Canva design studio, right? Or it can be Atlassian as a Jira solution, or it can be a CRM from Asana and Monday.com because they are lacking like internal solution. And there is an Asana program for that is designated for the nonprofit organization, say for Monday. So depending on what you might be looking for. There is also an accounting software. So Sage offers a solution for nonprofits organization as well. For those that might be a little bit more interested in like social media space or impact, there is a LinkedIn offering that is relatively less known. So I want to highlight that as well. And on the other side of the spectrum, there's the huge donation side. So you're going to be accessing corporate and employee giving initiatives. What does it mean? Well, although Goodstack cannot guarantee any donations will be given to your organization, but you will be exposed. So if you build your profile, you can be subject to employee givings. And these large corporates are using Goodstack as a one-stop shop for all of their different offerings. So you might get your nonprofit product, but you might also be subject to employee donations, right? If they select you as a charity of choice. As an example, I would say LA wildfires that happened recently. So obviously the firefighters of LA were the charity of a choice for a period of time, and they received a lot of donations during that time. They didn't have to do any major marketing. It was just the employees and the word of mouth and just the awareness of the public. Okay, so I want to split it into the two. In terms of the product, it's varied. There is a list of a continuously growing list of organizations and large corporates that are signing up and partnering with Goodstack. So would keep an eye and even periodically refresh if there hasn't been any new partner added, maybe new solution added. Same for donations, right? Because this is continuously expanding.
All right, and if we just look a little bit more closely on the software offering side or the product offering side, if you will. I know you mentioned LinkedIn. Can you tell us more about that? Because obviously most of our clients are marketing people using Google Ads. So I think the marketing side of things, it's something that will be the most interesting to them. So can you please tell us a little bit more about LinkedIn? What does it cover? What do they get? as a part of this? And are there any other marketing tools available to nonprofits?
In terms of a direct marketing like Google, the offering might be relatively in its inception for other partners.
Mhm.
There are a couple of other partners that are trialing and pivoting with Goodstack. So some partners are already in the talks, and there might be a small pilot going on. So the product offering with the large brands will potentially grow as we speak. The largest one by any means is Google right now, because that's the well established. In terms of the LinkedIn, it's a relatively narrow offering right now. I would recommend it to some nonprofits. The outreach, unfortunately, isn't that you get the full premium income and you can do the full campaigns. Maybe hence why it's a little less known. But I would nevertheless try to benefit from anything that you can get relatively for free of charge. What I want to highlight is these products are sometimes free of charge and sometimes heavily discounted. So as an example, Google, you get free of charge, right? After you qualify and pass through all of the steps. For example, to get a software through Atlassian, one of their solutions, you get 75% discount. So I do not want to confuse anybody that everything is 100% free. Free is not, it's heavily discounted. Also, some of the offerings, for example, for Asana, on some of the offerings, they offer 50% discount. So some of the product offerings, they're heavily discounted and some of them are completely free. How to find out what is chargeable before you enter any kind of surprises, it would be, again, when you're looking at the eligibility criteria, look at the conditions, right? Does it say, is it fully free of charge? Is it free for the nonprofits, or do I get a discount for the product offering? So please keep an eye out on the terms. In terms of the LinkedIn, again, I would try it out regardless. It's not the full campaign that you might want, but nevertheless, it's a product that LinkedIn wants to grow.
I see. All right. I mean, for my, just to add to that, from my experience, larger scale nonprofits, obviously, the ones that have, a couple hundred people, they need to use professional corporate grade tools, right? And those include, like what you mentioned, the, task management software. Obviously, there might be office packages, all CRM software, all sorts of, graphic software, etc. And from my experience, most of these nonprofits, they just use standard licenses, right? Which for some of these, we might be talking about thousands of dollars per year easily, right? And they don't even know that they're eligible to anything. So my recommendation, especially for those large organizations, is to go to Goodstack, look around, and you might find some of these solutions like what you mentioned, um, Canva, Atlassian, and Monday.com, Asana. There are others, and you might be using some of them, and you might benefit from just moving away from your standard license, using this, either have a discounted or free version of the product that you can that you're eligible for as a nonprofit. And the same goes to Google's products, by the way, because if you have a Google for Nonprofits account, obviously Google Ad Grants is one of those things. But there's also Google Workspace, which, again, I mean, there's a basic license which is completely free, and then you can get larger packages which are heavily discounted. There's YouTube. You can get premium YouTube account, etc., etc. So there are many things that you might be using. You might be paying for them, but you don't have to as a nonprofit. And that's the I believe that's the main message of today's webinar. You know, do spend a few minutes, sign up for Goodstack, look around, look at the different products. You may find something new which you might have been looking at, but it was probably too expensive, or you might replace your existing license with the nonprofit license. There are many options and many ways for you to save, and it's there. It's available. So yeah, thank you for that. And again, I would imagine there are dozens, maybe hundreds of products. Obviously, we cannot cover all of them here. Yeah, I know you mentioned some, but there's much more. So go in, look at the marketplace, do your research, and pick the ones that you like.
Again, the
Right.
marketplace is continuously growing because the Goodstack is a young company and it's in the negotiations with key corporate clients. So again, I would encourage you even to look every 6 months, every 12 months, and to look because you might be surprised what kind of brands are adding in. Goodstack is very focused on getting the biggest value to the nonprofits. So talking to the largest corporate clients and trying to have a deal arrangement with them, which will benefit all of you.
And by the way, there's one more thing because we've together collaborated in the past on one article where we've mentioned some of those most popular products. We've also mentioned what does the offer cover. So if you go to our website aboutxdigital.com, there's a blog section. If you look for Goodstack, you will find this article. And but this we produced the article about 2 months ago when the offering is changing. But at that time, we try to pinpoint the most valuable um, products available within Goodstack. All right. My next question has already been sort of answered by you, so maybe just a quick answer to this one. Are all of the products free, or do I, as a nonprofit, need to pay for some?
So as I said, Goodstack account itself is free of charge. You don't have to pay for anything. You just sign up. Google Ad Grants, as a lot of your viewers, if you sign up for Google for Nonprofits, then it's free. If you are on a paid version, please make sure you check out the Google for Nonprofits and all the other products. A lot of them, as I mentioned, are free or heavily discounted. So please check out the terms. In terms of the donation side, which we're going to cover in the last segment of this, that you don't have to pay anything to obtain the donation. There might be a small fee that Goodstack retains as a management fee, but then the donation goes straight to your organization. You don't have to pay any extra additional fee that you are like featured in the fundraiser. No.
All right. All right. Sounds good. And the discounts, they're usually like 50% plus, right? We're not talking about 10,
Absolutely.
20% discounts. They're like, three-quarters of the price go away,
Correct.
that
For
kind of stuff.
Atlassian, it's a
Okay.
75. A lot of them are discounted. I think Asana is the 50-50 split on some of their programs. A lot of them are free of charge.
Okay. So again, coming back to what I mentioned, if you are a larger nonprofit, if you use, standard corporate licenses, this might be an opportunity for you to save thousands per year potentially. All right. My next question, and again, it's something that we've sort of already covered, but I'll ask it anyways because obviously it is something that many of our viewers and people over internet are interested in. So once I get the Goodstack account, how do I actually sign up for products? How does this work?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, you're gonna fill out the best advice would be to explore the marketplace, fill out your profile, and complete it properly. So does it mean filling out the logo, mission statement, and adding the bank details to fully benefit from the offering? If we are talking about the products that are more on the software and the tooling side, then it would be just navigating to each of the providers and signing up through their standard flow. But you will have it listed in the marketplace. So you don't have to explore the internet or online search on your own and trying to find it. You can try to find it from the marketplace and then will be redirected. If you're wondering about the donation side, how do you sign up? This is a little bit more niche. Not always you can participate in the fundraiser that is created, but the more you build out your profile, the more awareness it's going to attract to either employees of these large corporate donations, or you might be a charity of a choice in case there is certain campaign going on, right? There are lots of different campaigns from all of the corporate partners. So I would, although there is not like immediate sign up process, but the more you build a product, you can have more awareness and you can be the charity of choice.
All right. And maybe one question, because let's say I'm coming back to my example, I'm um, a nonprofit operating in the U.S. in the healthcare vertical.
Mhm.
I sign up. I'll get through. And I have a Goodstack account, and then I see, okay, I've been using Asana. I've been paying for that. I would like to take advantage of the free license. Since I've already been approved by Goodstack, do I need to get through additional approval from Asana? Or I mean, it's just an example. You don't have to, generally
Yeah.
speaking, is there any other round of approvals, or can I just go to their website through the link on the marketplace, hit a few buttons, and how does the secondary validation work?
Correct. The good news is if you have already completed one verification through Goodstack, whether it's Google for Nonprofits or whether it's a Goodstack application, the good news is on the subsequent application, you will be fast-tracked. So it's a matter of a couple of clicks. You do not get it automatically. You need to claim all of these different products if you want to, because well, you will be fast-tracked. I'm going to stop at that. But there are some, as I mentioned, eligibility requirements that vary from partner to partner. So although you might be accepted for Google because they accept, let's say, religious organizations, if you sign up, let's say, to Monday.com, they do not accept. And you might be wondering, why is that? I have been verified successfully once. What is the issue? Well, the issue is that the partner's eligibility criteria varies. So they do not support all of the causes. So you might need to go through a simplified version of the flow, but we still need to make sure that it's in line with the partner itself, right? And they all have somewhat custom. So although it's a very similar verification process, a lot of it is custom and based on the discretion of the partner itself. So you're going to be fast tracked, but it depends on what kind of cause you are. So
I see. So, but some of those software partners, they might be accepting even applicants who are not within Goodstack, correct? But I, as a Goodstack validated nonprofit, I get, like what you said, I get fast track. It might be easier for me to get in. Do I understand it correctly?
Correct. Again, Goodstack itself is not obligation to even go to Asana. You can do that externally, like you do Google Ad Grants. Absolutely no obligation. So do not feel obliged, but I would strongly benefit from exploring the marketplace, because that's how you get the exposure. It's absolutely not required to get Monday.com, Asana, Atlassian. You can go just to those providers directly.
I see. But if a nonprofit is trying to really maximize the possible benefits, then having a Goodstack account, I would imagine, is a big plus, because then there's one validation from Goodstack, and then there's no need for 10 extra validations with all the partners. So I see.
Yeah, I would say so. And also, if you apply just to partners specifically, you will not be featured in the donation side of the business. That's the last question. So that's what you get all in one in Goodstack.
All right. And then the actual sign up, I would imagine, depends on the partner, right? Everybody has their own conditions, and it's typically on their own website.
Correct. In their native forms, sometimes it's customized based on their requirements.
I see. Okay, that sounds good to me. The next section is about real life examples. I mentioned one, you mentioned some, but can you give us more examples? I know you. I mean, you've probably validated many different nonprofits, so can you think of a few that really benefit from this?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll just highlight a few. We mentioned some already. I want to again repeat the LA wildfires, that immediately the LA firefighters were a charity of choice, and they received a large amount of monetary donations. Okay. Who else benefited? So we support large organizations, from Red Cross to Oxfam, to just to name a few. Those organizations, as Peter said, they're benefiting mainly for streamlining the costs and maybe operational efficiencies, because they can have everything in one platform, and they can benefit from multiple different things, right? So not just the product offerings, but they can have the corporate givings. There are some of the clients like Millie or some banks that we work with that give large corporate donations to some charities, right? Sometimes it's the employee giving program. So we work, for example, with Atlassian. They have implemented employee giving initiatives. That means that all of the employees within Atlassian, they have a budget they can spend and donate to charities of their choice. I would just name a few. there are lots of universities, lots of booster clubs, parent-teacher organizations within, for example, Australia, because Atlassian is obviously based heavily in Australia. That's where they have the core. Then I would highlight a few in, let's say, the Philippines, where recently there were the hurricanes and so on. So a lot of organizations either provided donations to them, or there were lots of discounted product all of a sudden that corporate partners made available to
Mhm.
Philippines. So that could be
I
anything,
see.
again, from the local Red Cross, but even to local pet shelters, homeless shelters, and lots of small organizations. So if you're one of the all bigger organizations, then absolutely this is something that Goodstack supports. But do not despair if you're on the smaller side, one-man organizations helping a local community. There are offers for all organizations, all different
Mhm.
sizes and shapes.
I see. And maybe geographically speaking, I know you mentioned the US, then you mentioned Philippines. Um, I know it's probably not available to every single country, but can you give us an approximate number of countries that Goodstack is available in?
Um, for well, Goodstack is available in all of the countries globally,
Okay.
except for sanctioned countries where we
Okay.
do not offer. So those are around 6 countries that are under sanctions, and we can name them. And that's North Korea, Iran, and such like, right, that are on heavy sanctions, and it's very difficult to operate. So we do not operate. Outside
Okay.
of that, Goodstack offers products and donations to 200 plus countries. This is
Okay.
again something that not all of the product offerings do. For example, Google for Nonprofits only supports a handful, limited number of organizations. Probably hence why the question, Peter. But so
Yeah.
if you want to be like a good Google for Nonprofits interested in, I'm based in Latin America, why my country is not on the list. Well, Google is also, we are closely working with Google, potentially expanding the country list, but Google have their own discretion. And when they want to expand the list, they will. But again, I would follow their internal criteria. Other partners are global. So, for
I
example,
see.
Adobe, I would just highlight one, or Atlassian or Canva. They are global programs. There is no limitations in terms of jurisdiction, and
Okay.
Goodstack can support them all.
But even let's say if I'm a nonprofit operating in a Latin American country where Google isn't available, I can still create Goodstack account, can still do the validation, and then I'll just wait. And when my country gets added to the list that Google, country supported by Google, then I can just proceed and create my Google for
Absolutely.
nonprofits. Okay.
Absolutely. And you can, in the meantime, benefit from all the other products. You can be
Hmm.
open to the like exposure for donations, right? It's just
Okay.
maybe the limitation will be some of the product offering why not be open to you, but a
Hmm.
lot of others will.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for those examples. I think they're inspiring, and then hopefully some of the viewers, some of our clients can find themselves there and maybe find a use case for them as well. The last section of this webinar is dedicated to FAQs. I mean, all of these were obviously questions and answers, but there are a few more questions that we've collected that just did not fall into any of the prior categories. So I would like to look at them now. And the first one is related to the Goodstack and fundraising. So how am I, as a nonprofit that has a Goodstack account, how can I benefit from fundraising? Which tools are available to me for that simplify fundraising? How can I collect donations off of the Goodstack account? How does this work?
Well, one thing is that unlike with a product where you actively apply and then you actively get approved or rejected, with donations you just expose yourself to the marketplace, to the wider. So there is unfortunately no immediate guarantee, but I can tell you how you can widen your exposure to it, and maybe make it more likely that your organizations will be picked. One of them is definitely sign up. You might be familiar with other like employee giving and corporate grant organizations like Benevity. Goodstack offers both. So if you're familiar with the TechSoup and the verification partner, Goodstack does all of that. But in addition, covers all of the Benevity and all of the other employee and corporate grants into one. So you can have all in one. This will definitely help you with the fundraising. It can't guarantee anything, but if you build your profile, if you put a mission statement, if you add your bank details, you will get your donation directly to you, and it can consolidate all of the donations. A lot of use cases that we see at Goodstack, that these organizations receive donations from abroad. It can be global. So although you might be based in the US and you might be wondering, okay, local community, we are struggling, nobody will afford to donate, but we operate globally, and US organizations can receive donations from outside of the US or from different states within the US or globally. Okay, so you might be even surprised that you are due to donation, you don't even know about it, right? Because you maybe haven't collected the check or you haven't provided the payment method, so we cannot reach you. Okay, so that could be a happy surprise, right? Like you just haven't been familiar with that pathway. So how do you do that? You just sign up, prepare the payment method, prepare the profile page, and you might be receiving donations. How can you receive the donation? There are very different methods. One is corporate giving. So again, we cooperate with large banks, corporate partners, that give large sums of donations to the charities of the choice. Okay, you cannot do anything about it, but if you build your online presence, maybe with the Google ad grants, you build your profile, you make sure that like you are there in the search engine, you will be more likely to receive the fundraisers, and that there's a lot of fundraisers going on, whether it's for like a different cancer marathon runs, that you might be a charity of a choice, to employee giving. Again, if you are based in the area where, for example, these corporate clients have offices in, then you're more likely to be picked. Again, if it's like a natural disaster, then again, if it happens in your area, you're more likely to receive donation. So there are lots of little things. Nothing can completely guarantee it, but I would say those are steps how you can increase your chances.
Thank you for those tips. And just to add to that, also obviously you can use various tools provided by Goodstack partners in your fundraising campaigns. So obviously, Google is one of them. Many of our clients use Google as a starting point for their fundraising campaigns. But we mentioned LinkedIn, which is also great for certain types of fundraising. You may benefit from Adobe when creating creatives, right? So there are other tools that you can get for free, or and have a discount, and you can use those tools while creating your fundraising campaign. So that's also a big part of that. And then the second part is what Veronica mentioned about collecting donations from the platform. And this one we may just maybe answer this quickly, but some people ask about Microsoft. Microsoft has its own version of ad grants, which is called Microsoft Ads for Social Impact. It's been opened back in 2023. And there was a similar style of validation. Microsoft did the validation itself back then. But people are wondering about, okay, will this program reopen? And it actually might reopen later this year, according to our information. So a question related to that, okay, what will the validation look like? Will this be also covered by Goodstack, or will this be handled by somebody else? Do you know something about that?
It's probably too early to tell from Goodstack. Currently, we do not actively support Microsoft yet, but I can confirm that like Goodstack is approaching large brands, maybe including Microsoft. So like keep an eye out. As I said, every 6 to 12 months, the offering can change. Right now, it's not part of the offering yet, but it can change in the near future.
That sounds good. Like I said, Microsoft also does not, it's not formally open again, but when it happens, they might also make some changes in terms of their validation partner. We don't know yet. So as Veronica said, keep an eye on that. It might be Goodstack, it might be somebody else. All right, and I believe this is the last question of today's webinar, and that is, how can I contact Goodstack? Again, if you might be experiencing issues with your application or product activation, or Maybe somebody else created the account and left the organization, and somebody else wants to get in. This is a very common scenario, by the way. So what can I do? Who can I reach out to? Where do I find the contact information?
The best way, if you submitted the application, you will probably receive an email immediately that has the Goodstack contact details already in the email. If not, just open search, find online Goodstack and go to the support section. There are lots of like FAQs already answered, so you might be able to troubleshoot your situation. If not, there is an option to reach out directly and speak to one of the teammates. Again, with the best efforts, not everybody can be trained on the most complex edge cases. So if you still believe that there is a validity in your case, I would say do not despair. Worst case scenario, you can reach out to Peter and myself, and we can look into your case, right? However, if it's something like Google does not support either your country or your type of organization, there's nothing we can do. But in different scenarios or different edge cases, we might be able to help you.
All right, and I may just add to that from my experience. Goodstack support is fairly responsive. Before knowing Veronica, there were some cases when we need to have interaction with Goodstack on behalf of our clients, and within a day or two, I usually got an answer from a human. So it wasn't, anything generic AI generated. It was an actual human talking to us, trying to solve our issue. But again, there might be odd situations like the different legal status, or different types of examples like that, when standard support just cannot help you adequately, and that's when we come to play. You can reach out to us. Again, it's about xdigital.com. On the bottom there's a contact form. If you just explain us the issue, then we can either handle it ourselves, or maybe work with Veronica or somebody else who will help you there. All right, and speaking of help, obviously and I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Obviously, Goodstack and or Google AdGrants application assistance, that's one of the things that we specialize in, so we can help you with that. But we also specialize in Google AdGrants management. So if you, after you get approved for Goodstack, after you create a Google for Nonprofits account, obviously the next logical step is to create Google AdGrants campaigns, and it's something that we can help you with as well. And why, obviously there are other agencies that might help you, but why um, you should pick us? Well, obviously it's first of all, it's because we specialize in nonprofits. We've been working with nonprofits for more than 10 years, and we partner with Google. We're one of the premier partners. We have contacts at the Google AdGrants team, so we can help you with evaluation. We have Veronica, who I would like to also thank about for attending this webinar, and also I would like to thank her for helping us with those cases that we wouldn't otherwise be able to solve. So those are some of the benefits, but also we have transparent and fair pricing, which is based on how much of the grant we actually use. So as your campaigns ramp up, as they get traction, as you get more out of them, then you also pay a little bit more. But it's adjusted. It's a small percentage. And transparency is also important to us. You'll get detailed reports. You'll know what's going on. We'll inform you every month. We'll send you comprehensive commentary, so you know what's happening. We'll align next steps with you. Nothing will be hidden. And if you'll decide to conclude the cooperation with us, everything that we've created stays in the account. You can use that setup. You can use those ads. You can use those campaigns, and you can run your campaigns long term. So yeah, if you don't have Google AdGrants, I welcome all of you to also watch our videos on Google AdGrants. We explain the application process. We give examples on how to create campaigns, etc. So that'll be a good starting point. And if you'll get stuck at some point, don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll be happy to help you with that. I've looked at the chat window here, and we don't have any questions. So, anyways, if you end up having some questions in the future, just go to About X Digital, scroll all the way down, submit the contact form, and will be happy to answer those questions for you. The time is up. So I would like to again thank you all for attending this webinar. For those of you who watch the webinar later on, I would like to again thank you for your time on watching this. I hope it was helpful. I hope you've learned new things. I did. I'm not an expert on Goodstack myself. There were many new things to me. So again, thank you, Veronica, also for your time, for preparing for today's webinar, for attending it, and for sharing all this wonderful information with us. Um, Last thing that I would like to highlight is, Goodstack. Like I said, like we said in the beginning, most of you, those of you who use Google Ads, you already have Goodstack. You might not even know about it. You might not know of all the benefits and all the products. And that's the main message of today's webinar. Go in there. For those of you who don't have the account, sign up. It's fairly easy and quick. Look around the marketplace. Look at which products you use or which products you might use to simplify your operations or enable or help with your fundraising campaign, etc. So just look around, pick what you like, look at the requirements, and since you've already been validated by Goodstack, it should be fairly easy for you to get in and get those products for free or at heavy discounts. So, Veronica, anything else that you would like to add?
I would just say go and explore. Again, it's not mandatory, it's not paid, it's free of charge. Again, the verification process. If you experience any issues, contact either Goodstack. If you experience more issues, contact Peter and I, and we will help you.
All right. Thank you for concluding this. Thank you for all of you for attending again, and we would just like to wish you good luck with Goodstack, and that's really it. So thank you again. Have a good one. Take care. Bye bye.